I'm a writer and director. So I guess altogether I consider myself a filmmaker. And I just just completed and released my feature film, Whirlpool.
So can you tell me about your film Whirlpool and, how you came up with this idea?
The idea came to me about, gosh, now it's been 3 years, but I was laying in bed at night and my mind, I've always had a mind that's kind of hyperactive and I'm always thinking of different scenarios and just the idea of the film just sort of popped into my mind. More so, especially being a mother with a young child. And I started to kind of envision this whole thing of, what if, something happened and the mother and child and the mother, passed away and this child is taken by. So my mind just started sort of going, and then I kind of had in mind sort of that scene, and then from there we're sort of creating the world of the film and creating the characters. So it was one of these like late nights where I just was up way too late thinking about stuff and then I just kind of I stuck with it and wrote the script.
And so, did you always want to be a filmmaker, or is this, something new for you that you wanted to explore?
Definitely something new. So I actually had started off in entertainment as an actor, and I started off doing theater and always loved acting in the theater. I then started acting in film and was a little bit disappointed because while I love theater as well, film really is my favorite medium for art. And so started auditioning for film roles, found that there was just a lack of one diversity, of course, right, as we know, in the roles that are available to Black actors and Black actresses, but also to just the depth to the characters. So a lot of the roles I'd get called for were either extra roles or background roles and things like that. But in theater, I was being casted as like Cleopatra and like all these like leading roles. So I was like, what is going on? And so for me, I just was at that time, I thought, man, I'd love to create roles for Black actors that I would want to do, right? Like things that have some meat to them and some grit to them. And so that was kind of a main motivation for Whirlpool too. It's like I had the idea and then I'm like, well, let me just finish it and create these characters and start casting people.
And so, what was that process like for you since you'd never done it before? What was that like to put out a casting call
Mm.
and, get together a production team and then, go about, directing a movie for the very first time?
Ooh, it's a lot. It's a labor of love because I think really any indie filmmaker, when I say indie, I mean like someone working with like a low budget, will tell you that a lot of these duties they kind of fall on your shoulders. When you're a director that's sort of higher up, like let's say Ava DuVernay, right? Ava probably she has a vision, right? She's got a team, but really her job is to direct the actors, and then she's got a lot of other people on set. They handle a lot of other things. So when you're on like the level that I was on, a lot of things sort of fall on your shoulders. So to what you were saying, like sending out casting notices, production sheets, call sheets, calling people, hey, are you here yet? We started, shooting and all these different things, actors joining, actors dropping out, recasting, ordering food for people on set. So there's from the very beginning of pre-production to production to even post-production, there's so many different things. And yes, I do feel like all of it fell, most of it fell on my shoulders, but I did have an amazing team along the way.
And so, can you tell me, like, from start to finish, how long was the process?
Ooh, so from when I wrote the script, I'd say it was 2 to 3 years, I would say. So, which I felt very self-conscious about because I thought, oh my gosh, I want this movie to be done. And then some folks told me like, no, that's actually really normal. These things take time, even longer. So you're actually on a good little timeline. So yeah, I'd say 2 to 3 years from when I sat down to write it to when I actually released it for people to watch.
So when we spoke last year, it was around the Oscars, and we know the Oscars has a diversity problem. And we spoke to you about being a Black emerging filmmaker. And at the time, you were getting, I think you were maybe wrapping up the film and prepping
Mhm.
for a screening, I think, in Oak Park. Of course, COVID totally washed those plans. So, can you tell me, like, what you've been up to in relation to the film since that time a year ago?
Oh man, yeah. So COVID did change things. It even delayed some of the things on the post-production end. We had to go back into the studio and grab some audio for some of the actors, so that got delayed. And then yeah, in my mind, I'd always envisioned having a couple of local screenings. So I wanted to have a screening at the Guild for a couple of nights, then also at the Crest if possible, sell tickets and, have a whole thing, have the premiere, in person. So then that all went out the window. But the cool thing though with the virtual premiere, and at first I thought I was just like, oh, I don't know, but the cool thing about it was I mean, of course, we were able to have 10 times the amount of people than we could have had with an in-person thing. And also too, the in-person screening was going to be limited to just Sacramento. And we've got actors, well, most of the cast was from Sacramento or the Bay Area. They've got family and friends who are in, North Carolina or, Georgia, just different states throughout the country who wouldn't have been able to watch the film. So I think the virtual premiere was really cool because you were still able to have that like viewing, that movie experience of like within a collective, right? But then we were able to like expand it and have it, be seen by so many other people than it would have been if it was in person.
And so, what has the reception to the film been?
The reception has been really good. I mean, of course, I've watched the film so many times that at the literally the day of the premiere, I said, I have no idea if this movie is good. I hope people like it. I was like, I have no idea because I've just seen it so much. And so to see people also too on the live stream, they were typing in as they're watching it. So that was cool too. So people were like, oh my God, and I can't believe he did that, and all these different things. And so we also had a survey at the end that people could submit feedback on. And we got like really, really, I mean, very positive feedback from people, just people saying that they felt very emotionally impacted, that they related to some of the characters, that they were very moved, that they cried. And so for me, I just was like, wow. I mean, like that, I think that's the purpose and why I like to make film, is how it impacts others, the conversations it creates, right? How people to connect to it. Because if I just make a film for me, and I might like it, that's great, but really the point is for your audience to enjoy it. So yeah, we had really, really great feedback from people.
One of the things that really stood out about your film is that it's a Black cast. And when you're watching it, you realize like the characters could have really been of any race or ethnicity, right? But you chose to make it a Black cast. Could you tell me about the thought process behind that and why you thought that was important?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely from one from a representation perspective, I only want to create stories for Black actors and for but I guess the difference is I want to also tell stories that, to your point, right? It could have been a Latino family, it could have been a white family, because the event or the issues within this film are not particular to race or culture, right? So I think that, and I think that's a big part of just being Black in general, that they obviously we are Black people and we have things that impact us as Black people and things that we care about, right? But then also too, we're people. So there's parts of our lives we experience love and loss and betrayal, and I mean a lot of just different human emotions that also too other people can connect to. So I think for me, I want to continue to tell these very hopefully relatable and authentic stories with Black actors, but maybe not always the story revolves around a very specific Black thing, if that makes sense. So
And you also had a diverse production team as
mhm.
well. And so, can you tell me about why that's important as well to not only, for, like you said, representation's sake, to have people in front of the camera
Mhm.
represent, but also behind the camera as well, to have wide representation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think when we talk about representation in film, the conversation does get sort of siloed to acting. And I get it because actors are the most visible when we see films. We go, oh, black cast, great. Not black cast, or what's going on, or where's the diversity? But behind the scenes in production, there's so many jobs and things to learn, and it's just definitely something that I think people of color in general should tap into more, and but also too, the opportunities have to be there. So I've been on sets where it's just mostly white crew members, and the jobs they're doing are not because they know how to do it best. Like, it's just more so no one's taken the thought to say, like, why is our entire crew white? And so absolutely, for me, I definitely tried to be intentional in having a diverse crew, because I think it just contributes to the project and what I value.
So now the film has premiered. What's next for Whirlpool?
I'm excited. So we're going to be, I submitted to about 12 film festivals. And so kind of a full range. I've submitted to a few very kind of iconic Black film festivals, a few international ones, a few female festivals, as well as first time filmmaker type. So there's a lot of different ones you could submit to. So yeah, those will be coming in. I'll be getting notified over the spring and the summer, I believe. So I'm excited. I think it'll be cool to see what opportunities come from that. And also too, just if we're selected for some of these places and get to just, have people see the film some more. So
That's awesome. I mean, how does it feel to, be in your shoes? Like, you said earlier, like, I'm Black, I'm a parent, I have a young child. How does it feel for you to be able to, have put this film together? And I'm sure you probably have more in the works. You're submitting them to film festivals. Like, how does that feel for you?
it feels very fulfilling. I think it's kind of like to know that this first started off as just to know that I first started off as just kind of a disgruntled actor, where I just was someone who didn't feel like things were always fair, didn't feel like things were as diverse as they could be, that the roles weren't there. And I think just the fact that I thought, well, let me just get started. Let me start working, and I did my research, and I tried to make sure I knew how to write a script for one, and that I had an idea how to pull the thing off. But I think just looking at the journey of it all, I think it's very rewarding, and it's very fulfilling. And then being able to create something that not only audiences enjoyed, but also like my team, the actors and the crew, that it's a project that they felt proud of and they wanted to be a part of, and all of that. So I just think collectively it's a very, very fulfilling thing.
Um, and I guess, do you have any other films in the works?
Yeah, so I have a short film that I'm working on, that I want to release. And I think definitely for me, I'm drawn to dramas for some reason, maybe because my life is drama, I don't know, but love dramas. I love touching on sort of uncomfortable topics and things that maybe people don't like to talk about, or it's just sort of, so that's kind of my next project, is maybe a little bit riskier, I feel. And I don't think it really is a risky topic, but I just think that it definitely will make people sort of have to reflect and maybe feel a little uncomfortable. So that's the short film that I'm working on, that I hope to just kind of release online and have people enjoy, hopefully.